So, Shar,
Yes, Frank.
what are you doing today?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Recipes to Live For. I'm doing eggplant today. Eggplant patties, just like Grandma used to make. So, I'm going to explain step by step what to do. It's not hard, but it is a little time consuming and a little messy. So, I hope you like them. First thing we're going to do is cut the eggplant up. I like to peel it mostly, but not all the way, because I like a little bit of the peel on it. So I'm going to do it partly like you do a cucumber.
You're pretty handy with that knife, Shar.
You better watch it. I am. These are cut up pretty good, and we're going to put them in our frying pan. I'm going to put oil in the bottom of the pan. I'm probably going to put at least a quarter cup of oil in there. I use olive oil pretty much for everything, because eggplant is like a sponge. It will soak up the oil really, really quickly. So I'm going to put a little extra oil in there. I'm going to put my fresh garlic in there. There's about a tablespoon and a half of fresh garlic. I'm going to put my Italian seasoning in there, a good teaspoon of Italian seasoning. I'm going to put onion powder and garlic powder, a teaspoon of each, and a teaspoon of black pepper. And the first thing I'm going to put in is my onions, which my husband hates. But I put them in the last couple of times and he didn't know it. But if I cook them really good, they add a flavor that you can't really detect. It's just that extra something. Now, I've seen recipes that have a good medium-sized white onion and a medium-sized red onion. Put them in there and you mix it up and you cook it really well. Then you add your garlic. Then you add your eggplant, cook that up, and then you're going to add your spices, which is what I just told you about, until it gets nice and cooked and soft. So right now I'm going to heat up my pan with the oil and put the onion in first, okay?
How much onion you have there, Shar?
This is about a small onion, and I didn't even use the whole thing, a red onion. But if you like onions, which I love, I would put a whole medium white onion and a whole medium red onion and cook that up. Then I would put my eggplant and my seasoning in there and have it cook up really nice and soft. So that's what I like. But
what else do you have there?
Well, this is for when I fry them up. When we're all done, I'm going to make the patties, and I'll show you how to do that. And I put a little chunk of mozzarella cheese in the center of these patties, and they melt up nice when I do it's kind of a shallow deep fry, if there's such a thing. I don't fill the pot up, but I do cook them really good on both sides till they're nice and brown and crispy. And that's what the breadcrumbs are for, and some extra. The thing is, I have breadcrumbs, but they're seasoned as well, so I'm going to put less seasoning in there. I also put grated cheese in there. And well, I'll let you know when I put all the stuff in here to make the actual patty.
So a little mozzarella in the center?
Yeah, a little treat.
Little bonus.
Inside. Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. So let me start frying up what I got to fry, and I'll show you how I do that. So you want to put about I would say, quarter cup of oil in the bottom of your pot, because the eggplant will sop it up really, really quickly. And so the first thing I'm going to put in is our onion to cook. Ooh, that was quick. So that's going to cook a little bit. And then I'm going to put my fresh garlic in. Whew, I wish you could smell this. Here's my fresh garlic. And like I do with my sauce, I like to put my spices in there to cook in the oil a little bit to sort of release the oils in the spices like the oregano and the parsley and all that good stuff. So we got some Italian seasoning, about a teaspoon we'll put in there. Got a teaspoon of black pepper and salt. I put them in together. And I got onion and garlic powder, half a teaspoon for each. Don't forget, we're gonna have seasonings when after we cook the eggplant too, so we don't want to overdo it too much. So now I'm gonna put the eggplant in and cook it. And it'll cook down a little bit, but you want to stir it really quickly because the oil will absorb super quick into that eggplant. We want it to get really well incorporated. I'm going to turn the heat down just a little bit so it can simmer some. So it's about a medium heat. We don't want to burn our garlic and our spices.
Smelling good, Cher.
It's smelling good. Yummo.
Too bad we don't have smell-o-vision.
I know, I hear that all the time, right? So what I do is I just keep stirring it. I may even put a lid on here just to keep some of that moisture in so it doesn't burn. So it's getting a little moister, softer. Keep stirring it so it cooks nice and even. So I season my things a couple of different times. When I put the breadcrumbs in, I'll season it again just a little bit because the breadcrumbs have spices in there. And then when I coat them with the breadcrumbs, and I use panko and breadcrumbs mixed together, a little bit of more grated cheese, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and I don't really use Italian seasoning or oregano because I don't want to overdo it. That can be overpowering. So I'll show you that when I get to it, okay?
So what's the next step, Cher?
The next step is I'm going to put it in a bowl, let it cool a little bit, and then the eggs going in and the grated cheese, breadcrumbs, and since I did put some spices in there, I just don't want to overdo it. You may need to add a little salt to taste. Maybe a little more pepper. I love black pepper, so you can use a lot if you want, little if you want, or none at all, you know. And then the salt, you have salt in the grated cheese, and you don't want to overdo the salt because you can't take that back out again. You know, you can always put more in, but you can't take it out. And I cut the chunks a little bigger than I usually do, so that's why it's taking a little extra time. You can cut them smaller and it won't take as long. So little tiny chunks, little tiny squares are okay. First thing I'm going to do is add the grated cheese. I have about a half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese in here. And about half a cup or less of breadcrumbs. Now I might need to add more. Depends on the consistency, because we want to have a good consistency so that we can put them in patties and fry them up. 1 egg goes in here. Let's see how that comes out as far as our consistency goes. Okay, the egg helps to bind it. So let's see how that works. Mix that really, really well. Now you notice I didn't add any more spices. I did taste it earlier. There seems to be enough salt, so I don't want to add anything because there's some seasoning in the breadcrumbs, and then we're going to fry them up, and there's going to be breadcrumbs and panko breadcrumbs mixed on the outside with seasoning in there. So I just don't want to overdo it. And this looks like it's a pretty good consistency for making patties. That was a lucky guess because you can't always measure what eggplant you have. I used what I had on hand, so I wasn't sure how much eggplant that was going to make because, you know, some were smaller, some are bigger. You don't necessarily know. I think we're ready to rock and roll. So now, after we put our stuff in there, the breadcrumbs and the egg, and we've got it all combined, we're gonna make the patties so that we can fry them up, and I'll show you what I do with that. Now this looks like a good consistency. Again, I washed my hands really, really good. It's a must. So the first thing we're gonna do, I got eggs, 2 eggs here, and a 1/4 cup of milk. Now I added about a half a cup of, no, maybe 3/4 of a cup of panko breadcrumbs. They're Chinese breadcrumbs, are more crispy than regular breadcrumbs. I used about 3/4 of a cup of Italian breadcrumbs with the seasonings in it. I used about a half a cup of grated cheese, and I did add a little more Italian seasoning, little onion powder, a little garlic powder, a little salt, and a little pepper, but not a lot because it did have some of it in there. So, and then I mixed it all up really good. Now I'm gonna take my eggplant, a little bit in my hand like this, okay? I take a little bit of mozzarella, put it right there. Now this is the part that's so messy, okay? It takes some patience, but it's all good. Now, cover that up really good, like so. Flatten it up like a patty. See that? Now we're going to put it in our flour. Coat it with our flour. Now you can probably gather how messy this is going to be. Then we put it in our egg and turn it over. And then we put it in our breadcrumb mixture, and we coat it really, really well. Pat it down. Get it nice and coated. And then I put it on a cookie tray with a, either wax paper or tin foil, and then when that's all done, we'll have them all ready to put in our hot oil. So this is our outcome after I, breaded them and all that, put the mozzarella in the center. This is the outcome. It gave us 12 good-sized patties. I mean, good-sized patties. So if you had a nice marinara sauce, it's really nice to have with this. A nice salad, and it makes a delicious meal, really. So we're gonna do the frying, and I'll show you how do we do that. The oil should be about 350, I would say, and you put a little crumb in there, and once it starts to sizzle really good, you know it's hot enough. You do not want to put these in when it's not hot enough, because otherwise it'll get inside. You don't want that. You want a nice crispy eggplant patty. So we're gonna do that next, and I'll show you. So we have our eggplant patties ready to go in the hot oil, but the oil is not hot yet. So I use canola oil. I don't want to waste my olive oil on frying anything because it's just too precious. We want to use a vegetable oil or canola oil. We're going to put that in here. And it's not a real deep fry. It's going to be a sort of a shallow deep fry, and I'll show you the amount of oil I put in. It's going to be a lot, but not a deep fry. Like a deep fry would be, you've completely immersed them in the oil. We're not doing that. So we got to wait for this to heat up to a pretty hot temperature. I have it set at 330. May need to be a little hotter, but I'm going to test it, and I'll show you how I test it with a few crumbs. Once they start sizzling really good, we're gonna put them in there, okay? So let me put a breadcrumb in here to see how it does. Start sizzling. Oh yeah, see that? That's how you know it's ready. So we're gonna try it now. Now I suggest you put it on your spatula first so you don't splash yourself with the hot oil. Not a good idea. Put them gently in. And as you put things in, it gets a little cooler, the oil, so kind of want to keep an eye on that as well. See how gentle I am being with it, because they'll fall apart if you're too rough with these. Gentle goes a long way. So here we go. That's the max I'm going to put in, and this might take about 8 to 10 minutes. I'm going to check each side, and I want them to be nice and golden. So you ready to try it, Frank? See if it came out okay?
I am more than ready.
You are? Come on over. Take a bite. Tell me the truth, okay?
I always tell you the truth, Chef.
Yes, he does.
Oh my. Eggplant patty. I love them.
You hear the crunch?
Ooh, crunch.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's the surprise.
I mean, can I
There
show them?
is
Look
the
at
surprise.
Look at that melted cheese in the center. What a surprise. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-mm.
Take a bite, Frankie. See
Yeah.
if it's good.
Nice crunch too.
It might be hot. You like it?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so good. The crunch.
Yeah.
The crunch is there. I love the crunch. I love the texture. I love the mozzarella in the middle. I mean, that is just such the bonus.
Really?
Yeah. It's
The crunch is about
is
the
so
egg
good.
and the flour and then the breadcrumbs. Muy
Yeah.
importante.
Later, we'll make a little marinara sauce, or you'll make a little marinara sauce, and we'll put a little on that. This just alone, just by itself, absolutely amazing.
Anyway, come back again and
We'll see you next time again at Recipes to Live For.
Yes.
Stay tuned, more to come.
yeah, and if you have any questions about something else, please. I read all of the comments and I would love to hear from you. Okay? God bless you all.
See ya.
Bye.
So Cher, wasn't your grandmother? She was a cook, right?
My father's mother, my grandma, she cooked for Eleanor Roosevelt, yeah.
So
had
she
her
was
own-
Eleanor Roosevelt's cook.
Yeah. She cooked for Roosevelt and Kennedy and Khrushchev, and they had guests, and she had to come up with, Eleanor would tell my grandma that, by the way, we've got Khrushchev coming for dinner and his wife, and Kennedy and Jackie, and she'd be like, you didn't tell me, and she's got a roast about that big, and she had to make it work. Somehow she did. I don't know how she did it. She was amazing, but I think it runs in our DNA.